Well, good morning, everyone. This is like to convene the tree committee meeting. This is my name is Bob Wilson. I'm chair of the Sandpoint Tree Committee. We are meeting here on November 21st at the City Council Chambers at City Hall at 1123 West Lake Street in Sandpoint, Idaho. Members present, Bill Love, Gail Lister, Rich Del Carlo, and Sharon Lewis. Members not present, Molly McCann and Eileen Atkinson. Okay, we have minutes from 2 meetings. And we'll have to do a separate approval on each one, and we will again be doing a roll call vote on this. We'll first look at the minutes from October 17th, which was our regular meeting. Did anyone have any changes, corrections, additions? If not, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Okay. All in favor? I'll see. Sorry, we're gonna do a roll call vote. Bill?
Aye.
Gail?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
And Sharon?
Yes.
And I approve also. So motion carries. Thank you. Also, we had a special meeting of the tree committee on October 31st, primarily to discuss our urban forest plan. I had one correction I needed to make on that on page 2, if you have that in front of you, under priority 5 tree planting. This word came up here, ex officio on here. That should be ex officio.
What's that mean?
Ex officio, I don't know, that sounds like some kind of beauty treatment.
Yeah.
Ex officio is it says ex officio member is a person who participates in the group but does not have voting privileges. So anyway, I've corrected that with Cami here. Any other changes, corrections? Okay, could I have a motion to approve the October 31st minutes as amended?
Aye.
Gail, in a second.
Second.
Rich seconds. For voting, Bill Love,
Aye.
Gail Lister,
Aye.
Rich Del Carlo,
Aye.
Sharon Lewis,
Yes.
and I vote yes also. So that motion carries. And I do want to call out a thanks to Cami for providing such detailed minutes. Again, I find them extremely helpful.
I'll second that.
In kind of reviewing and refreshing my memory as to what happened.
Yeah.
Because we don't meet like just even once a month. It kind of fades off into the distance. So again, thank you very much, Cami. Okay, on to our report section. Trees Public Art Program. And we have, I guess you're all aware, the one large tree is scheduled for removal. So
Yeah.
May, why don't you let us know what's happening with that? And
Sure.
how we're
So
gonna,
we had a storm a couple weeks ago and a couple trees that were already deemed high risk by Garth. And they'd been inspected, were losing branches and have hangers. This one in particular at the senior center has an active hanger right now. And we are, as soon as I'm done here, we should be getting the notice to proceed to Best Way Trees. They were our contractor that we've used as of last year for emergency repairs or emergency tree work. So his name is Dennis. He's going to be doing that this afternoon. I just spoke to the senior center and they're going to cut the tree to about 15 to 20 feet tall so that it can be turned into an art sculpture. And then there's a second tree that is at the Arboretum that is also at threat, and we're really concerned about that falling on the structures, if it falls, it would probably fall on the parking lot and it could hurt somebody. And so that is the second one that is high risk. And then in the park, there's a couple of hangers in some of the trees that are in the park. So he's going to be getting those. Oh, there was also some on Ella and Oak, just a couple hangers. So we don't typically do the work in the right of way except for downtown, but because the storm had broken them off, by the time we get the neighbors to take care of them, somebody could get hurt. So anyway, I was approved to do just a small contract to have those taken care of. And then there's going to be a second contract going out, which will be an RFQ process for more tree work. And really that tree work should have been done earlier this year, but there's some trees like the one that has died downtown by the farm and park. And there's other trees like that are just needing work. So we're gonna get some of that high priority work done, a little bit of it this fall, and then we'll do the rest of it this spring because we're gonna need the leaves to make some
RFP.
judgment cars. Yeah,
What is it?
that's a request for proposal, so other contractors can bid on it. Mhm.
So, and then will those be following the criteria of the plan then? So certified arborists?
Yeah, certified arborist, everything. So,
Dennis is
and I
not a
don't think
certified arborist.
Dennis is, and he made that really clear. Because it was an emergency, I went through our purchasing department to figure out how to quickly get somebody without the RFQ process. And it's just a not to exceed a certain amount. So it was really like, hey, we have some, mostly the senior center one, because the hangar, we're super concerned about it. And then the one at the Arboretum, we're super concerned about. The rest of them, yes, I know they could fall. I get the calls all the time, blah, blah, blah. But when I talk to Garth, all my other trees that are high risk by the public are not necessarily high risk. So until you start to see the soil actually lifting up and things like that, then according to Garth, that most of them are under monitoring. However, as we heard from the master plan, we haven't been taking care of the majority of our trees, so I have to start doing that. And it's going to be kind of a multi-prong effect.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the senior center tree this afternoon, it will be coming down, and then
Coming all the way down today?
no, I
Or
just
the
said
limbs?
to the 10 to 15 feet high.
Yeah, but so
Yeah.
yes, that
Yeah.
all the way.
Yeah, the limbs are too dangerous. We looked at leaving them
Mhm.
and just topping it off like you had proposed. And we did look at that, but it wasn't recommended because if we do get a big heavy storm, those limbs are going to take all the snow load, and then they're weak anyway. The tree is actually dying. So, it's maybe not hollow all the way down. We'll know when we get into it. But it was actually deemed high risk way before I got here, just so you know. So it should have been handled when Kim was looking at it. I have old reports from Garth. So it's been on the list for a little while.
I have a pretend idea for that tree, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not just topping it, but like when they do it, to leave some, because then if it gets sculpted, great. But in the meantime, it could still be like a pretend.
Some character.
Because, yes, and yes, like.
Well,
you're
the
saying,
problem with that design is that the branches
Are
are
gonna rot.
way above that height. I mean, the
Yeah.
height that they're gonna leave it. So there's no branches coming out at
So
even
that's it.
50 feet. I mean, the tree is so big that all the branches are maybe not 50 feet, but
Okay.
certainly
It's close to 50,
above
yeah.
above the limit to where they were gonna cut that
Yeah.
off. So,
Okay.
I think
I
it's a
mean,
case by case situation, Gail, because I've been working with Heather Upton. She is the arts and historical preservation officer, and Heather works with Cammie and I on the park team. And I think that what we're going to do is figure out a process for doing these trees in conjunction with this committee and that committee. So it's going to be a shared.
You mean these sculpture
These
trees?
sculpture trees, because number one, I don't have budget for it.
Right.
Right.
So let's start there. And this is clearly a desire of the community, but I don't have the money for it. Now, she has some funding, but she doesn't know if she can use it for this. She has to talk to her committee. So she has a meeting, I think tomorrow. Cami, are you
Yes.
hurt? Okay, yeah, I think it's tomorrow. So she was gonna talk to them about that. But in all cases, we think that, you know, this is a good program to continue. There's at least 2 or 3 potential trees in Lakeview Park that one has a sculpture. The second one, Dennis lobbed off, I guess, 2 or 3 years ago, and his father sculpted an eagle, but his sculptures are supposed to get set into the tree, so they set down into it. So we had a very elaborate discussion about the mechanics of if you have a sculpture that sits into the tree and what holds it up, there has to be something structural. So not all trees can be carved like the one
Right.
out front,
Yeah.
because the whole tree might be rotten out. So it's a case by case situation. And that's where I think our tree committee could make those recommendations per tree. And then we can make that recommendation to the art committee, and the art committee can figure out what the art should be.
Well, and also
or how
the-
this program will work.
You know, the nature of nature is that that wood is just gonna continue to
Never.
decay. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Right.
where it
Right.
wants to go,
Mhm.
back
Right.
into the earth. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's not gonna be a forever thing, and potentially there's some hazards related to that.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that we were talking about was this is a great entry level art sculpting opportunity for maybe the students in the local, like the trade school stuff and things like that. So maybe it's an opportunity for that. And we're looking at, you know, affordable ways to create beautiful art in town that maybe is, you know, how it won't last forever.
More temporary, but
Mhm. Right, right. So, yeah, that's, you know, we have to figure this stuff out, and that was never figured out before.
No.
So the senior center doesn't want to make that back into a parking lot? I mean, they're okay with, well, they don't have anything to say
No,
really.
It's not
probably.
it's our property.
Yeah. Because
Well-
originally that was what was gonna happen. It was gonna be a parking lot and we saved the tree.
No, I don't have any.
Instead.
Well, for a few
I don't have
years.
any,
Yeah.
I don't have any.
No.
I've not been told that, I guess.
Okay.
No one said that to me except for you.
Great.
So, yeah, and everyone that I know on my team, including my boss, are in favor of this process. This is a process that we developed that we're gonna continue on and take to
Great.
the art committee next. So, yeah, Jennifer is great with it, so I think we're fine.
Cool.
Yeah,
Okay. And
So-
all these other trees you mentioned that have hangers, are those just to be branch removals, or are the trees are going to be?
just
removed?
branches,
Okay, okay,
like
I
the
wasn't quite clear
branches
on that.
is literally hanging there
Yeah.
and there's a threat and the
Okay.
homeowners have been told and everything. So just so you guys know, the process was we had a storm warning. And then that day that we had the warning, it was a Thursday or a Friday. I think it was a Thursday, maybe we had Friday off. It was right before Veterans Day. And so that day I got triggered and went and met with our purchasing agent and the process is that basically I was trying to figure out how can we quickly, what's the process if something happens over the weekend? Who do I hire? And that's what initiated this. And then, so we did a look back to see what Kim had done last year. And he had this Best Way trees under contract last year, and that contractor had been part of everything. And so we just decided, since it was an emergency, if there was a big storm, that's who we were gonna go with up to a certain amount. And so I called that company that day and then worked with him throughout all last week to get his contract and his license and everything up and current. But on Monday, when I came in, we went and drove around together, and I had a list from maintenance, and then I had a couple calls. And so it was a combination of maintenance and the calls and myself. And so we really tried to get it down to what is literally hanging there and the biggest threat to the public.
Thank you.
yeah.
Oh,
Can I say a few words about
Please.
certified arborists?
Yes.
So, the advantage, I mean, we don't necessarily need to have a certified arborist
Right.
remove dead trees or do any removals, because the skill and the science is with the, well, not necessarily the skill, but the science is with the certification that you have to take continuing education units. And so you're continually knowing the what's going on in the industry, and potentially have the skills to be able to work in a live tree. And that's where the certification is valuable. Although, so that, like Dennis, I mean, he's been doing removals for forever. So, I mean, those guys can definitely do big time removals. They have the equipment to do it. So, yeah. So I don't know if there's some provision for, maybe not having necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the skill level and the insurance is what you're looking at for the.
I think,
Safety.
so I think if I hear you correctly, you're referencing the master plan. The master plan is calling out that we should only be working with certified arborists. I think that what is going to happen next with the master plan, and we're going to kind of move into that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things. Let me talk about this. The master plan makes many recommendations, and remember, it's a long range plan, so it's 10 to 20 years. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pause on the tree committee. So this is an action step that we're going to take internally. So we're not going to meet again until December or January. The recommendation in the plan is that we revisit all the codes and anything that relates to that, and then restructure the tree committee. So the mayor wants to take a look at that, and I've been tasked with taking a look at that. So we're going to pause. We're going to look at who is up for renewal. The recommendation is that we reduce the number of tree committee members to 5. So we're probably going to do that. I don't know for sure, but that's at the discretion of the mayor.
Can I ask why that?
Yeah.
I don't
why
know
they would
whether
want to
it was
reduce
the
that?
recommendation for our size and our population.
We thought they wanted more.
And the
Yeah,
statute
I certainly
now,
wouldn't favor that.
what reads, 5 to 9?
Yes, 5 to 9.
Yeah.
So all of that needs to be revisited,
Mhm.
and you guys approved this, and
I
If you
thought it
didn't-
said they wanted
didn't like
more
it.
people.
Yeah, I
Like
didn't.
said,
I
and
didn't catch
I
that.
didn't bring it up, but kind of the one thing, or there were 2 or 3 items that in reading through the plan 2 or 3 times, I thought, boy, I don't really agree with that. And the recommendation of a committee of 5. And, and I was thinking at the same time while I was reading that, well, the city statute or the city code already addresses 5 to 9. And so then if it's, I guess it could be reduced to 5 and still be with it without requiring a statute change.
well, that's all up for discussion, I would think. And part of what we're going to be doing is looking at this. But the first step is anyone who is up for renewal. So who, do you guys know your terms?
No.
No.
I think Molly and Sharon and maybe Gail, but Sharon, didn't you just
I
redo
think I
yours?
just got renewed.
I thought I did
Maybe
too.
it's Gail and Molly.
I should be getting fairly close because it's.
Okay.
Hmm.
So-
I think I did
What I
last year.
remember is,
Yeah, I
is
did too.
maybe reducing the minimal amount of people on the committee to 5, but I guess I just don't remember it being capped off.
Yeah.
And then also I do remember there being discussion about the qualifications for.
Mhm.
for
And that we were going to
members.
have a city
So here's
council
the
person.
section on the tree committee, I believe it's page 20 in the manual, and it's up on the screen. I just pulled it up. Let's see here. So it's sanctioned by a city ordinance, chapter 15, urban forestry, section 7-15-5. Talks about the purpose.
Yeah, I just don't understand any advantage there would be to reducing the size of the tree committee.
Here's where he talks about the size. The last paragraph on the second page of this, he said, for a community the size of Sandpoint, the tree committee should have 5 members consisting of 2 members who have experience and expertise in arboriculture or urban forestry, and 3 members from the community that reflect the will of the community in an official capacity on issues pertaining to the strategic management of the urban forest. 1 member acts as a chair of the committee. The STC should report. STC.
That's Sandpoint Tree Committee.
Oh, thank you. The STC should report to and be overseen by the staff member responsible for directing and managing the implementation of the urban forestry master plan and city trees. The city staffs act as an there it is, ex
That's
officio
official.
member of the tree committee, of the committee. Yeah.
Since
so-
we're a volunteer group, we're not always all here. And if we make it even smaller, the chances of us having, what is that called? Where,
Quorum.
yeah,
Quorum. Well, if the committee was 5 people, we would need just 3 for a quorum. So
It's
but yeah, it gets to the point where you have 3 people making the decision. And I just feel like I feel like we have benefited greatly from the variety of viewpoints and the discussions we have had in kind of hashing out some of these issues. So I'm
Well, guys, we adopted this. We went through this.
Yeah, but
So-
I also think that there's room for interpretation. I didn't see it
several
being capped
rounds.
off at 5. I mean, it's not saying that
it was a
explicitly.
suggestion, it looked like.
Yeah, I think
It was
everything in the plan is up for discussion, but you advise, you're an advisory group. Ultimately, the decisions get made by city council and the mayor. So, I mean, I think, we can address that when we're ready to address that. But in the meantime, we're gonna go on a pause for a few months and figure it out internally and decide what we want to do as a team with staff and with city council. And then we'll be reconvening, and I believe that anyone whose positions are up, they're gonna be reposted. And then if you want to apply, again, you'll have to put your name back in, is how that goes. So I will confirm the exact numbers of who's on it. But if you're already on and you're not expiring or terming out, I guess it would be then.
How long is it? Is it 3?
it's 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm up for another year. And mine would expire.
So I think generally from what we talked about internally was it's a regrouping. And because there were a lot of there's a lot of recommendations that relate to the current ordinances, and it doesn't matter what the ordinance says right now, we're going to be redoing them. And that's going to be the first task, because several of the ordinances are not in alignment with the recommendations. So that's going to be the first thing that the tree committee is going to work on this winter, is cleaning up the ordinances. And then that will be a process. The way that you do that is you make recommendations and then you take them forth to city council and maybe even to planning and zoning. I'm not quite sure. Cammy, do you know when you change the code, if it has to go to planning and zoning or if it goes to city council? Or
I don't think it necessarily has to go to planning and zoning, but it does have to be.
definitely the
approved by
city
council.
council,
Yeah.
yeah. But it may go to planning and
I
zoning.
guess
codes
maybe if it
would.
has something where it overlaps or it's
Yeah.
currently in a planning and zoning section, so
Yeah,
maybe
it
I
just
don't know where
depends.
they're all located. 'cause
Most of
they're
ours
kinda
are
scattered
in
right now.
that section, 15. Section 7-15. Yeah, chapter 15, most of our stuff is in there. There's a little bit of tree stuff that's in the development, which I think would get triggered by zoning. Anyway, the gist of it is, it's a lot of figuring this out and then implementing the master plan as a roadmap. I will certainly let Jennifer and the mayor know of your opinions today about keeping the numbers on board. Gail, do you know if you're gonna,
I feel
Wanna
like I
resubmit?
remember getting a letter saying, yeah, you're in again, but I don't remember, years
Yeah,
go flying
well-
by. I don't know.
we'll, what I'll do then is work with Jennifer and
I do
We'll
feel
send out a-
sad though,
we'll let
thinking
you
that
all know.
I'm not going to be on. And then I pretended while you're saying all this, I could still come to the meetings and
Mhm.
be here, but, oh, yeah, very new. I never thought of it.
Yeah.
We've been a big family of,
Mhm.
you know,
Tree
working
huggers.
to get, yeah, for a long time.
And tree criers.
That's me. I'm almost about there
Yeah.
now.
But-
Well, I don't know what the outcome will
Yeah.
be. So I know, yeah.
You know,
Um,
excuse me, but kind of going to Bob's comment, you know, went under a 5-member structure, 2 have experience and expertise in arboriculture, urban forestry. Well, and then, so if one of those members misses a meeting, then that brain trust is reduced by 50%. Whereas kind of with the current makeup of the committee and as it's evolved over the years, if Rich isn't here, then there are a couple that have that expertise and experience, and sometimes, and at other times when, say, when we had a representative, an ex officio member from Idaho Department of Lands, or John Gaddis was attending just because of interest and things like that, then that increased that knowledge base, and then sitting around the table, then just 1 or 2 people didn't have to kind of make the final decision and recommendation. We could draw on a bigger pool of expertise and experience. But anyway, that's
Well,
my point on that.
Would you guys mind going around and letting me know individually so I can kind of get a count how you
Yeah.
feel about this? So Bill, it sounds like you would like to keep it as it is.
Yeah. You know, and the other thing too, if it is going to be sort of, you know, capped at 5 people, just based on the recommendation of the plan here, then while you're changing the ordinances, then be sure to change the ordinance so that it no longer reads 5 to 9 members, but yeah, it reads
That would be
5.
the first one, probably.
Yeah, that would be, yeah, so.
So Gail.
I mean, I'm not in favor of doing that,
Right.
but to make sure your ordinance is consistent with
That's
with
exactly
a
But
what
plan.
that's,
Yeah.
yeah,
that's what I
that's,
was saying, that we'll be
Yeah.
working on. Gail, what's your opinion?
And I agree. I personally, I mean, I love being a part of this and have been, 15, I don't know how many years. So yes, I would like to keep it where we have all of these minds together.
So you would like, the
Keep it at
question is
7.
how many people? You
I
keep
guess
it at
7. And
Okay.
what, wasn't it 7 to 9? Because
5
we
to
were
9.
So keep
5
the
to
number
9, we
the
were
same.
supposed to also have a city council person in here. I don't know if they would.
But they
count.
wouldn't be, yeah,
But
they
we're not
would be
gonna have a
that
city
ex
council
officio.
person in
Yeah.
here. That is not what we're doing. So ignore what the code is. We're gonna rewrite it and we're gonna update it to this, but we could potentially say 7. But we're not gonna have, there's nothing in here that speaks to having city council on here. So
All right.
instead, I'm pretty confident what's gonna happen is we will go to city council. Somebody from the committee will be appointed to update city council. Whether it's a couple times a year or it's every meeting, I don't know, but. And then we have lots of people in the community who have already said over the last year that they're interested and they are certified arborists, and that I know that John is one, John Gaddis is one, Paige from Ooh La La Trees, and she's very, very qualified. I know that the utility Vista has somebody in town, but they're trying to get on the committee. So there's other people that are interested. So that's where,
and why
Yeah,
haven't
probably.
they been?
because there's no open spots.
Well, there would be 2 potential open
Yeah.
spots.
There
Yeah,
have been.
Yeah,
We've been
under
trying
the-
to get
yeah.
more people
Yeah.
on our committee.
You have 7.
And the code says it can have 5 to 9. So there are 2 open
So
spots.
there's no reason why there shouldn't have been, if there's been
Yeah, I don't-
active interest, why there haven't.
Well, and I think we've heard somewhat of an explanation over the last year or
That
so.
they were
And
putting it off.
this grand reset,
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
things were on hold.
yeah.
Well, okay. I need to
But I'm
get,
just saying that can't be that's not a legitimate concern that people have been turned away because we're at
Well, that's what I was
capacity.
told,
And
was
I'm,
that
so I'm
we
just
were.
telling you that that
No,
isn't the
that's
reason.
fine. I think
Yeah.
maybe they didn't want to grow the committee until the recommendations
Yeah,
were
yeah,
in, is
that-
that is
yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've been trying for years to get more people interested in joining.
Well, I know of those people that are interested
Okay,
right now.
yeah.
So I don't know if they still are. We had to turn them away earlier this summer because we were so deep in this and it was not appropriate.
Well, and as far as qualifications, I would be the first guy out because I'm just a caring person, not like qualified with, you know,
Three, Gail,
arbors.
Yeah.
and I quote,
No,
three
it
members
does
from
say
the
that.
community that reflect
Yes.
the will of the community in an
Yeah.
official
You fall in
capacity
that
on
Yes.
issues
category for
pertaining
sure.
to the strategic
Yeah,
management.
Okay, okay.
Gail, I
Yeah.
don't think you should discredit
Yeah.
yourself.
Okay, I'm just saying when I look, yeah.
No, that's been the beauty, or that's been, I think, the
The
appreciation that
strength
we've
of
all
our-
have had is because we have kind of the professional expertise, but then we have the compassionate community expertise that you could bring, Sharon could bring to the, and on one hand, we hope that we brought up your kind of knowledge of the science, and I'll for certainly say that you brought up my appreciation for the love for trees and the beauty of trees.
Okay,
I don't
thank
think
you. I'm
anyone-
just
I think
saying.
you
like,
are
Yeah, you're-
misunderstanding. No one's heads are on the chopping block
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So to be really clear, like, there's a tremendous amount of gratitude and there's nobody's heads on the chopping block. Except me and Molly, because she only shows up every other meeting, so her term is expiring.
Oh, it is?
I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
we
it
just
is.
got her. Huh, okay, time goes flying.
So,
Yeah,
and that's not because she's not wanted, it's her,
She's busy.
well, her term, I think, is up. I'm pretty sure it is.
I've got the membership up and it
Oh,
looks like
Oh, can you give us an
Gail and
update?
Sharon expire in March 31st.
Oh,
2023.
Oh, that was 2022. Reappointed, oh wait, hold on. Originally appointed. I don't know how old this is. It was gifted to me when I got to start hanging out with you guys.
Reinstated.
There may
I
be
do lose
something
track
more
of time.
current than this because it showed that they expired in March 31st, 2022. And then Molly was supposed to expire June 30th of 2022. And I think expired in August. There must be something.
But we
more
got our
current.
letters
Yeah, there must be
saying
something
you're
more
back
current that
or
wasn't
you're
shared with me.
accepted
So
again.
never mind, this isn't exactly.
Well, clearly, there's an opening for the city to clean this up.
Yes.
Mhm.
That is where we
A good
are.
way to summarize.
I would really like to continue on.
Yes,
Rich,
Yes.
Gail, please, I'm moving on to Rich. How many people do you think
7.
should be on?
And just to comment, it seemed like maybe the idea of having, lowering the numbers would make it more, streamline it, make it more efficient, maybe in the terms of meetings, but I don't think we've ever struggled with people kind of stumbling over each other to make it not a productive meeting. Certainly, with opinions and things, but overall, the work that we've done, I think, has been productive.
Okay.
So I don't think that is a kind of a cumbersome number.
Thank you, Gail. Sharon.
Well, and for me, knowing that there are these other folks that are really interested, that are obviously qualified, and it would be great to see them and new faces on the committee. I think between 7 and 9, and even keeping the ordinance as is, and seeing how that goes, bringing in some new people that are interested and who can bring some more expertise.
Yeah.
I think that's my experience with the tree committee, that's doable and valuable.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I would favor, well, currently it says 5 to 9 members. I kind of like Sharon's suggestion saying, making it 7 to 9. 5, I think, is just not enough. But, and the issue, I think, in the past has been, identifying and attracting qualified and really interested people. So we've been kind of the same group of people for a long time, just because there has been so little interest over the years. I'm encouraged to hear that there are some other folks, especially with some tree experience, that would be interested in joining us. But I would be disappointed to have to cut this committee down to 5. So I think we should go from 5 to 7
Okay.
in city code.
Or 7 to 9.
7 to
7 to 9,
9.
so, excuse me. Thank you.
Okay.
Bill. 7 to 9.
All right. All right, so all of that will get filtered in.
Thank you.
And then I
Yes,
will
thank you.
update you on the outcome and let you know on all of your terms and then what we're gonna do.
Thanks.
And then just plan, for sure, we'll have no meeting in December, but we will move into January or at the latest by February. But
Yeah, typically we skip
January.
our December meeting because it's getting pretty close to the Christmas
yeah,
holiday.
it's hard to-
So we usually skip
forecast.
December anyway, so we can hopefully shoot for a January. Hopefully have something ready to go by then.
That makes sense. Okay, so then, let's see here. And then the first thing that we'll be tackling is the codes. So if you are staying on, it sounds like most of you, if not all of you are, then you'll want to take your book. Want to read the codes, you'll have homework over
Mhm.
this next couple months. And we will be reassessing based on the recommendations in the master plan. And then there's a couple other things in the master plan that we have to tackle, some actions, and those are kind of near the back. Yeah, the strategic management plan, there was this, just blew by it, the tree inventory. What to do about that, and then let's see here, a management plan, I think. Yeah, just a lot of kind of strategic planning stuff. Tree maintenance.
And there's that one table
plan.
that shows the different ordinances.
That's on
compared to
page
other
27.
cities.
Yeah, page 27. Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Jim had identified a number of specific areas that the code needs to address.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's when I was.
Yeah.
looking at
And seeing, for
where there's a
example,
lot of
Sandpoint
gaps.
doesn't have a permit and
So that
plan
could
review
be a
process. It
guide.
doesn't, no, it does have that. No, it doesn't have that. It doesn't have incentives, doesn't have a heritage tree program and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So then it's a goal to kind of check
We
all of
say
the,
we do, but it's not really.
Yeah.
It's not official.
yeah, yeah.
It's not there.
We do have a permit and plan review process, though.
Mhm.
It's not.
Mhm. I thought we had a few more check marks than he showed in
Yeah, we do. You know,
his
there were
chart
so
there.
many rounds of edit
Yeah.
that some things probably just got lost. We were trying, but yes, there's definitely things to do. So there's a lot of work to do. We're not going to tackle all of this in year one. We're
Yeah.
gonna make a plan for what we're gonna tackle in year one, and that will be part of what we
Yeah,
talk about
may-
in
may-
January.
Could you send out to the committee reference code numbers so we know where to find all the stuff that we're supposed to review?
Yeah, actually, I wonder if he didn't have it in
There
here.
was something in,
He might have had it in here.
okay.
It's actually ordinance review, page 23. So we have
Ordinance
ordinance,
review.
Title 7, Chapter 15 is the big one. And then
Okay,
there's a couple of other references in the zoning codes as well.
Oh, great.
Thank you.
Wow.
You're amazing. Thanks, Tim. Would you like a donut?
Thank
I'll bring them to you first. There's lots of extras, so there are your plans.
you.
Wonderfully put together.
all right.
And like I said, I think it's about $5 if you did, however you wanted to bind it. If you did, this is a step, but I think it's about $5 for the bind at the Staples. Yeah, you have to probably punch your own holes, but maybe ask them. I don't know what their deal is.
That for you.
Yeah, I think it's just the printing part. So
You mean if we don't want them to be single pages?
Yeah,
But
we've got
in
extras. We'll give them to
I
the
see us
members.
bringing this to our,
To
our
class,
meetings.
yeah.
And using
Mhm.
it as a guide for the future and, yeah, something that we can reference, and so. Thank you for
Yes,
printing
this is
these out for us.
the new Bible.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I don't really want to print anymore because we are tree people.
I
but
know,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know,
I agree.
but this is something
And
we're
I thought
gonna
about
be
not doing it,
reusing.
but
I
then
think
I
this
was like,
justifies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
exactly. And of course,
Yeah.
if you did see any edits, let me know. Like, we're still catching stuff. So this was the one that is adopted. So.
One other question, maybe about city code review. I guess I'm not really familiar with how city code is written and how it's phrased, and will we have some assistance from the city staff on how to actually write code, or how
Yeah,
how
well,
can we
we
approach
can
that?
get some help from Amy, our city planner. Yeah, maybe what I'll do when we reconvene and come back together is have some clarity on that and bring in staff to help with that. There's also legal too.
Right.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
can probably get some legal. And I know that Andy, our city attorney, he's our land use attorney, and ironically, he started his career in forestry. Andy Dunno, I believe is his last name. He needs to come and give us a whole committee operations training too. And that's based on Robert's rules and all that. So
Mhm.
he was gonna do that this fall, but then we were cranking through stuff. And then now he plays Santa Claus for a month. So he's off delivering presents for the next month.
Really?
I don't know if
Interesting.
it's like a nonprofit deal that he does,
Okay,
but
that's nice.
which is interesting. He doesn't really have a big beard, but maybe he grows one for
Mhm.
the holiday. Anyway, he's an amazing person. I think you're all gonna love him if you don't know him, but Andy is tasked with giving us.
Okay.
So
That'll
it's
be
gonna be
useful.
like the old but new, the refined, cleaned up version of tree committee. So it's a fresh start is how I would think of it
Mhm.
when we come back in the new year. Yeah. So I will get that on for the next round.
I have something to backtrack. Is that, should I wait till the end of the meeting to? so
We
we
have
can-
a section at item, or agenda item
Okay,
at the
so-
end that says general committee and staff comments.
Okay.
if you wanna
I'll
save
wait.
it
I
for
wrote
that.
it down so I won't forget. Yeah, very good.
Okay. I did want to comment on the city council. I went to the meeting, and I want to thank Gail and Sharon and Molly, who also showed up in support of this plan. And Sharon was kind enough to get up and say a few words in favor as well. So I appreciate that. But I was also very impressed with the city council. I don't know when they got this plan to start reviewing it, but it's a lot to wade
Yeah.
through, and several of them were, they seem to be up to speed. They had really read and digested, and they had good questions. Overall, I was very impressed with their the effort that they put into making some sense out of this. And of course, I was also very pleased to see that the level of support for it was pretty much unanimous. When they voted for it, it was a unanimous vote. So our city council is behind this.
It was very
100%.
heartening.
It
Yeah.
was
And
very
Maeve, thank you.
encouraging.
You're,
Yes,
Yes.
welcome. Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
I wasn't expecting much support, especially with the error.
oh, no.
Financial.
Oh,
But psychologically, I think that worked in our favor.
No.
Right?
First you need $1 million a year. Now you
Because
really
there
only
was a
need
typo.
160,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Oh.
quite the oops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I didn't catch it. It was actually Jason Welker who caught it, and then he notified me, and then it was so he notified me on Friday or Saturday, and I let Jim know, and I didn't have the Word version. So I couldn't make the edit, and only Jim could, and then he brought it here with him when he arrived. So we got it into their packet. So what they saw up on the podium was actually, or the diocese was actually the updated
Corrected,
version.
right.
Yeah. But the original one was basically saying they needed $1 million a year.
Like how
Yeah.
embarrassing, right, for you guys. You did well.
We had to play that one
But
out. but yeah.
but I also still saw that the calculation was to acquire that budget would be $11 per citizen. I was like, that's still doable.
I know, well, you know, and Jason was trying to run the math. and
Yeah,
Like, well, how
but I
many
didn't really-
lattes is
I
that?
didn't take out my calculator. Maybe that wasn't quite right either, but yeah.
Which,
Yeah,
I mean, I
that
think,
was- That was funny.
yeah, it'd be great to have $1 million. That's a good goal to go for. I think every department would really
Yeah.
like that. The park budget was before I got here was only for park projects, I should say, was.
Yeah,
Just to put
yeah.
some things in perspective.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of money. So, and oh, I had another huge announcement. How did I forget this? Wow. Jennifer just hired another landscape architect
Okay.
as a
What,
Friday,
hired a what?
a landscape architect.
Oh,
And he has his bachelor's and his master's in landscape architecture, and he is going to be working in the Public Works Division under Amanda Wilson for IDS, the Infrastructure Development Services, and his role will be construction management. But she was talking to me on Friday, and she thinks that that's going to really help my role and overlapping what we do. You know, we're trained very similarly. And his master's was from Penn State, I believe, either Penn State or University of Pennsylvania. Either way, the Pennsylvania programs are leaders in horticulture and plant science, anything like that. So either one that he would have gone to, I just spoke to him briefly during an interview, and I was just very impressed.
Oh,
So
cool.
Yay.
Yeah.
I think that this is going to be a really good thing for the city and really good thing for me, and he's going to help me with my workload. Who knows, maybe he'll end up,
nice.
maybe he'll be in this seat instead of me. I don't know how that's going to play out, but we're going to be able to divide and conquer
That's great.
in a
Mhm.
uniform fashion. and
Yeah.
It's going to really,
Yeah.
it was a fascinating maneuver to bring him in for construction. He came from the state of Idaho, so he knows, he's been there for the last 5 or 6 years doing projects.
and when's he going to start now?
I guess after the holiday.
Ah,
So,
okay,
mhm.
well, good.
So we won't be having any more improper species planted in ours.
No, do you
Right,
want to
I
talk
mean-
about that too?
Ooh.
Okay, so who wrote me? Was it you that wrote me about the sidewalk?
No,
maybe it
I
was
wrote about
Molly.
this.
Maybe it was, I think it was
Mo-
Molly.
Molly said, had a few words to say about that.
That's what it
yeah.
was. Okay, sorry. So Molly sent an email on Friday, to just me and Bob, I think. And
Oh, okay, yeah, 'cause I
um,
didn't see anything.
yeah, you wouldn't have all seen it. She
Mm.
was following protocol, which was good.
Mhm.
So Molly was asking about the trees being girdled down by Farman Park.
Yes.
And part of the streets program is to remove the concrete. And then ultimately, part of what we're gonna have to do is, a lot of those trees are the wrong trees, the wrong place, the sidewalks weren't built properly. So we're gonna have to look at what to do. The dead tree is dead.
Is gonna come out.
It is, I should have taken it out already and I haven't done it yet. So it's gonna be part of that RFQ. It's
Okay.
not at threat for falling on anything.
Yeah.
And then the trees that are alive still, we're gonna have to assess tree by tree. They've all been assessed by Garth, but basically Amanda's team, the Public Works team, is gonna pop up the concrete and we're gonna have to assess them.
Thank you.
There's things that you can do, you can aerate, and that's really, it's about loosening the soil and see if we can salvage those trees and keep them going. Otherwise, we'll have to systematically, you don't want to remove them all at once, right? That would be a
No.
terrible plan. So we're gonna have to try to figure that out.
Mm.
And hopefully we don't have to remove, maybe, hopefully not anymore. I don't know. We'll
So
know
is this
when we
on,
get
is
into
this on Cedar or on?
No.
Isn't that
Maine, or
across
is it-
Maine?
And
Maine.
Is that
yeah.
Maine when it turns, yeah, it goes from.
Oak and Maine, those,
yeah.
where,
Mhm.
they go around Farman's Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in a lot of cases downtown in the older parts, they've been girdling,
Yeah,
so.
And so is there discussion as to just keep those girdles? That's what they're called, right?
The
Oh,
grates, the
the
grates,
The
right.
the
No,
grates, that's right.
they're
The
coming out.
the girdling and then
Is
the.
what
Right,
happens.
they're coming out and getting replaced with ones that will work.
Okay, so they're
Yay.
replacing them with just wider.
I don't know what it
openings?
is yet. That's
Yeah.
something that
Okay.
I just got told about this on
Yeah.
Friday, to tell you that
Yeah.
the concrete grades are
Yeah.
gonna be taken out and replaced, but I don't know what that.
Yeah,
is gonna
I'm
be
just
yet.
curious.
Yeah.
as
And
to-
it's not just on that road either, you know, what's the name of the road where jalapenos?
Yeah, on
is-
Second Avenue, there's a lot of the
Oh,
same
Yeah,
situation is going on.
and just,
And that's between.
They're alive still.
Cedar and Main on Second, same situation.
Yeah, I think it's just the old way that things were built, and it was a classic situation of, you know, the way that they did the sidewalks back then in combination with wrong tree.
They're newer. It's
Yeah.
not that old.
And, okay, I was the first landscape architect the city ever hired, and that was last year, and I don't know that anyone was reviewing stuff.
no,
No, and there wasn't the people to do it. It's not that people didn't care.
And I think people were reviewing plans, but they weren't maybe qualified.
Right,
Yeah.
that's,
You
yeah.
know,
And
I've talked a lot about this, because this bothers me, because
Yeah.
it's embarrassing for landscape architects as a profession, and then I get told, oh, well, these plans were reviewed, and there was a, but they could be somebody from a city who
Yeah.
isn't physically here, and
Yeah.
what they see in the plan versus what gets put in the ground is not always the same thing. So, you know, engineers should not be signing off on these. It needs to be qualified. And we now have an adopted plan that has specifications and speaks to the sidewalks. So city council is behind all this, and now that's what I'm saying, is this is a very powerful tool.
yeah,
And they also deemed the trees, the urban forests, critical infrastructure. So that's huge.
yeah.
That means we can go after dollars. So I think we're gonna be all right. It's
Yeah.
just gonna be a little.
I think it's a
painful
new
in
era.
the interim of
I
what to
do,
do with what's existing.
especially after the city.
And,
council
and now especially with the
Yes.
new landscape architect working directly with public works and
Yes.
construction. Because, you know,
Construction.
we all remember times when
Yes.
at the very last minute,
Yeah.
then the blue plants were spread out over the table, and here's what it's gonna be, and we would, you know, we would make a few recommendations, but full well knowing that the dozer, the
Yeah.
backhoe was ready there.
We were happy that there was any consideration at all.
Yeah,
But they
Given the
didn't
trees.
listen.
yeah.
I mean, that's, and that's really what we were pushing
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
and hoping that there were experts
Yeah.
down the road.
Yeah.
And
So I think it's important, a lot of times we talk about the negative things here, and I've been guilty of that. I think it's really important that you all pat yourselves on the shoulders and say, and just really acknowledge that you've come so far, and a lot of good things did happen.
Mhm.
And we have really good bones and infrastructure. Yes, there's lessons learned, and yes, we had to sacrifice some trees, but it's similar to a war. You have to sacrifice to make something great sometimes. And you know, we've done a lot of good things here, and the community spoke loud and clear at this last meeting, and they really value the trees, and they spoke through our city council. And I think that's something that,
Yeah.
you know, came through in the surveys, it came through in this document. And I just think you should be really proud, because even though it might not seem like it, and there, you know, people who are in the weeds of it, and you're in the work and you're in the details, it can be overwhelming. But if you take a step back to the layperson, we have this very robust forest of over 7,000 trees, and they're all really healthy and doing great. So now we just need to step up and take care of them, do a better job. But yeah, I hope that you leave here.
I'm
really
excited.
high.
I've
Yeah,
said
it-
this before. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I really do think that this is a new era, and we do have support and in a budget, I think coming very soon, that that's going to allow
Yeah.
us to really improve our urban forest.
Yeah, I think this is really gonna revolutionize how we do things here.
Yeah.
And again, a big thanks to May for shepherding this whole
Sure.
thing through
It's just
through
you
the-
guys though.
all the hurdles that we had to go through, so.
Yeah,
Thank
it's been
you.
a lot for me to figure this out, but I think I feel a lot more confident now, and I've learned a tremendous amount. And yeah, I think in my mind, I'd like to see, you know, in January and February, when we come back together, we come up with a good strategic plan of how we're going to implement this and what are the highest priorities, and then we just do it. I mean, I'm way stronger on the implementing side of planning than I am on planning. I get frustrated in talking about getting things done. I'd much rather get things done. So I'm a doer at heart. So
Well, and
I'm really
it's
excited
nice
about
to
it.
have this stability now from the city end, because,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, literally, there was a revolving door
Yeah.
for a while there of who was running this program,
Yeah.
you know, and
It's gonna be frustrating.
it was like, oh, no, you're doing it now. You know, you have 100 other things, but now you're doing 101. So this is,
Stepchild.
yeah.
Yeah,
So this
and
is good.
we're one of 2 committees left, and they want to keep us. You know, it's us and the arts committee. So the rest of the committees have been dissolved and absorbed through representation of the council. And because we have professionals on staff, they've decided that they don't need those committees. So they're speaking very loudly by saying that they want to keep this committee. I think that's great. Oh, they're also hiring a maintenance person and a crow, the community office person, who has arborist experience. And one of the maintenance positions is for park staff is going to be incentivized to move forward with arbor.
Nice.
Cool.
Certified
great.
arborist.
Oh, like for trimming and keeping things.
Yeah, part of this plan calls for someone on staff to be a certified arborist, and that doesn't mean like it's a part-time hobby type of certificate. Like
Right.
it's gonna be, that person's gonna work directly with whoever's in my role, whether it's me or whoever, with the city forester to do the inspection and all of that. So that is a role where we're gonna professionally develop that person, and hopefully they'll come in with it, but we don't know if they will.
And they'll be part of park staff.
Mhm,
okay.
and work under
That's great.
Austin. Yep. So those were some other things that Jennifer had said. So yeah, I think there's, you know, when people leave, there's like this gap in the world, and then we look at what do we need, and that was something that both Austin and I said we needed, and then the plan backed it up. And so
Mhm. So is Austin gonna stay around long? He's been around a
well, I
long
sure
time.
hope so. You ask him. I mean, she works with him more than I do.
I don't know if
Talk
he's,
about a 3-year timetable.
Yeah, I think he's-
Retirement.
okay.
Counting
Yeah,
down.
I thought he might be getting close.
Boy, if we lose Austin
No
anytime
kidding.
soon, we're gonna be screwed.
Yeah.
He might be the most valuable person that I've met.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know who's, what does he
Austin
do?
Hall, he's the maintenance superintendent
Over for the city. Oh,
for parks.
parks, yeah.
You haven't met Austin?
I think not. I know
Oh,
the
he's
boys who work
From
for
here,
him.
and then
but-
his son runs the sewer treatment plant.
Huh,
Yeah,
see, I know the older
grown-up
people.
son. Yeah, Austin's really close to retiring.
Oh.
He doesn't look it though.
Yeah.
He's pretty fit.
Yeah, yeah.
He's outside all day, so he's always happy.
Yeah, no kidding.
He does the tree lighting
Yeah,
every
I've
year.
seen him do-
Yeah, he's always outside. He's always smiling.
I'll find him.
Yeah, he's very
Yes.
friendly.
Give him a big hug.
Yeah.
He's a really amazing person. I love him to death. Yeah, so those are the big things. So yes,
Those are big.
there's a lot of change, but the seeds that you all planted are starting to grow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know it seems like probably a long time of painful process here, but we're gonna get through this.
And thank you for watering those seeds, man.
I'm trying. I hear you. I just don't always answer. But I hear everything that you say, and then and even the emails, when I get Jennifer.
Was my email the proper way to talk to you? Was that okay? Vic?
Hey, you can always email me. Yep,
Okay.
definitely. It's when we have a conversation with everybody on email, it breaks the rules of public
But if it's just,
process. Yeah, if it's just to
Okay.
me. Or if it's
Mhm.
like just me and Bob or something, it just can't be all of you at
huh,
once.
okay.
Yeah, Robert's rules, I guess.
I don't know,
Okay.
Robert.
We know Bob and we go by
That's
Bob's
rules.
rules.
Yeah, sort of informal
You're gonna
version of
meet
Robert's
Robert.
rules.
Bob's rules.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bob, was there anything else?
Um, No, I don't think so. I was gonna move on to the general comments
Great.
on the agenda if we could. And Gail, what did you have
Oh,
for us?
Well, the one thing I did want to know is that Sycamore London Plain, the guy that we're talking about across from Farman, will he be snubbed off or how will they?
No, that will be completely removed and the
And-
stump will be ground out and we'll replace it with a new tree.
Okay.
Yeah, that gets a
Okay.
new tree.
And around the corner from that, where the drive or the sort of, there's a window to, what is it called? Columbia Bank, the drive-in, the plaza.
Yeah,
It used to be.
Community plaza.
Then there's this tree, I think it might have been some kind of a fruit tree or something, and it has been, someone cut the top completely off of it.
Probably
Anyway, I
utility.
just thought I
Is there a
should,
utility there?
no.
Oh, fun. Well, we'll take a look at it.
Yes,
There's always something.
yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments or announcements for the committee?
I just want to, before leaving, also express my appreciation to the city council for approving the management plan and their obvious thoughtful consideration of it. So, and of course, always thank you, Maeve, but we've said that several times.
well, thank
to
you.
all.
Bob?
Yeah.
Maeve, how did your presentation with Native Plant Society?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Tell us about
Oh, well, there were some technical difficulties with Zoom, so that was a little bit embarrassing and super frustrating. But other than that, it was amazing. The room was full. It was at the library, and there was about 50 people there. And I talked about my past projects and my present projects, and then going forward into the future. I loosely just told them that the plan our plan got approved, and they were very excited about that. I really tried to emphasize things that I thought would be of service to them that they could use. So I talked a lot about process and inclusivity in my park projects, and showed examples of healing gardens and healing trails and how we are in a time of change, because that group is very, like most of us, and especially in Sandpoint, but most of the groups are very nervous right now about change. And I tried to let them know that, change is an opportunity, and yes, it's uncomfortable, but there's a lot of opportunity that can come out of it and a lot of positivity. And it's sort of a grief cycle that you have to go through. And, you're going through it, but almost with any type of grief, there's always something really great that comes out of it. And so I was trying to explain that to them and then teach them about the park planning process, because they have a lot of concerns about their site, the Arboretum, and the reasons being that the lease, the Arboretum, the Native Plant Society has a agreement with the museum. The museum has a lease that is expired, but when a lease expires, it goes to month, and those terms stay the same of what the original agreement was. So it's not that they don't have a lease, they do, it's just month to month and it needs to get updated. And then the property lines are all a little skewed between the museum, the Arboretum, and the Lions Club. So the big thing to tell them was, we're going to tackle that. That's on my plate for this winter as well, for early January, to work with our purchasing staff on that. And I'm the point person, so I'm going to clean up their leases. The city does not want to take the buildings away. So any rumors that you may have heard, we want nothing to do with those buildings. They're great leasees. We want to keep the leasees in their buildings. And we just need to clean some things up. And then the city owns that parking lot. That parking lot serves Lakeview and Memorial Park. And we do plow it. It is priority number 3. So there's 3 tiers of snow plowing, and it's a park. And so there are 3. The first is main streets, arteries. The second one is sidewalks, connectivity to schools and downtown, all that connectivity. And then the third one is parking lots for parks. So it's a tier 3. So it doesn't get plowed within the first 10 minutes that it snows, but it does get plowed as Austin can get to it. And so I let them know about that. And they're just, they just had some concerns about kind of going forward with that. There was one question about the comp plan. A gentleman named George, he speaks up all the time, and he had all my meetings, and he wants to know if we would be including biodiversity in our comp plan under the natural resource section. And I explained that the comp plan is getting written right now, and I have to finish putting my input into it. But that will go in front of city council too, and it will be up for the public to review. So yes, biodiversity is something that is acknowledged in there, as is our plan now. The forestry plan will be embedded into the comp plan. So I don't know if I answered this question totally, but he really wanted to see the city move in the direction of developing a conservation plan. It is not on our current strategic plan that was just adopted. We have a 5-year strategic plan that city council established. So we don't have anything in there that talks about a conservation plan, but I told him, just as I'll tell you, if you want the city council to focus on something, then you need to talk to the city council. They're your representatives. And so I told him, this is the mechanism if you want something to be a priority of staff, because city council directs administration, administration directs staff. So that's how we figure out what we're working on. So I've been tasked, for example, with this. I've been tasked with the watershed and then all my other projects. And I don't have conservation on my agenda. However, I did talk about it in the natural resources section. And biodiversity is part of that. And I think, we're always looking at that with the watershed. So yeah, otherwise I think it went really well. I covered a lot. It was an hour talk, which is a long time to talk. But it was a great opportunity for me to talk about my projects and let people know what I've done in the past. And for those of you that don't know, I've built over 50 park projects and over 50 million in park projects. And so I have a robust career behind me and learned a lot in Anchorage. And I think that, and I worked before that for 10 years too. I've been out of school for almost 20 years now. And before that, I worked construction in mountain towns. So my whole entire career has been working in this industry at some form or another. And it was really great to be able to share a personal side, but then also how it overlaps with the Arboretum and healing gardens and healing trails. I was really trying to focus on projects that they might be interested in, project types, and then show them the process and let them know that, the planning, even though they're not on my schedule, my work plan to work with them for the next year, that in a year from now, I'll probably be ramping up to do a master plan for Lakeview, because there's no plan for Lakeview yet. So, and we'll want to do that plan simultaneously with the sewer treatment plant, so that the park and the plant get designed at the same time, and then they get built, and hopefully the sewer treatment plant can help the park with their development.
I'm glad you had a chance to talk with him, because I'd worked with him for many years. I was on the board for a number of years, and then
Nice.
still organized their plant sale, their annual
Oh,
plant
that's
sale every year.
awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for the size of this community, they're a really robust group. It's really amazing how
I had no
many,
idea.
their membership, they're very active in a lot of different ways. So I think it's a real good
Yeah.
connection. for
Yeah,
me
and
to
if you
have
guys have anything, I mean, I'm pretty booked now, but if there's stuff,
Yeah.
coming out in the spring or later in the winter, if there's stuff that you'd like me to talk to, I don't mind being a keynote for things or speaking. I feel very comfortable. It takes me some time to prepare, because I like to get to know the group and make sure that whatever I'm presenting on could be of service to them and is useful for them. So I try to figure that out before I go in and not just talk at them. But next time my tech will be better. Zoom is not really my friend, and we had to reboot in the middle. It was kind of awful, that part, but
Well, there's Zoom, and then there's hybrid, which hybrid is
it was
almost
hybrid.
more complicated than, Zoom, and everybody's
Oh,
looking at the same
yeah.
little Hollywood squares and on
Totally.
the same plane, but when you're talking to people in the room, but then also recognizing there's
Yeah.
people out
It
there.
was
and,
hybrid, and then they popped me on the screens, and my computer thought I had multiple screens. So what the Zoom people were seeing was different than what I was showing
Yeah.
or seeing.
Yeah.
So that was weird, because I have 3 monitors in my office, or 2, and then this one.
Mhm.
And it thought that it was on that, and that's why I was doing, but I didn't know And I was so nervous. And also it was Saturday and I've already worked, 60 hours and I was tired. I got up at 5 and I was tired Saturday. So I wasn't thinking I should have switched my settings. but Instead, we played the Zoom reboot game a few times.
Mm.
Luckily, they had good snacks. I think everybody kept eating. They were cool. Yeah, I was shocked. The room was full. One thing I will say is to think about Arbor Day, definitely leveraging them again. And maybe when we come back in January, if you guys think about what date we want to have Arbor Day on again, I think it'd be great if it's not a rainy day.
Yeah.
We'll try.
Maybe we
That was a
move
little rough,
it
but
a
was-
little
it
bit,
was
but
Successful.
it was good. It
Yeah,
was
it was-
successful because we leveraged their relationships and then KLT was there. So I do think there's an advantage to having it when they have their plant sale. The
It brings
same,
people.
it brings people
Yeah.
and then we're all at the park at the same
Yeah,
time and
yeah.
cross pollinating with each other. So yeah, that's my only thought was, hey, maybe we can change the date for the tree for Arbor Day, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'd love to talk about that when we
Yeah.
reconvene.
Yeah, we can figure
Yeah,
something out.
and
on
I
that.
will say too, Arbor Day, or sorry, not Arbor Day. The Native Plant Society has an interest in participating in planning in park projects and stuff. So, I know that's something I'm always interested in is where can we get their help on things?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of native plants everywhere. So
Yeah.
it'd be great to have that happen. And I've already made recommendations for people to work with them in my plan reviews. So hopefully some of the developers are reaching out. I don't know. I refer them to you guys as well. So you
Mhm.
might get random calls from developers and you can blame me, but.
It would be great.
Yeah,
that's
yeah, you
fine.
just never know if they listen or not, but
Mhm.
it's always a good try, right? So,
Well,
yeah.
thank you.
Thanks for asking, Bill. Appreciate it.
Let's see, if we had a meeting in January, do you know what the date might be? Or does anyone have a calendar handy?
Well, I know, Cammy, you had a schedule.
We're what, fourth Monday of the month?
Third Monday of the
Third.
month,
Monday?
Yeah, typically.
That would be the 16th of January.
16th.
I'm gonna.
So we'll at least tentatively plan on
Ooh,
meeting.
That's Martin Luther King Day.
Oh,
the
that's right.
16th.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
that would be a city holiday.
Yes, it would be. We run into this every January and February because February is President's Day.
Yeah,
So we either have to skip to the following or either do the earlier one or the later one. Or do a Tuesday maybe. That week. Does anyone have preferences on? Fairly
I would say later.
later.
So
So
January
the
23rd.
23rd.
23rd work for everyone?
For now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well, at least tentatively, we'll plan on meeting on the 23rd and hopefully we'll have some input from city council by then on direction and
Yeah.
we'll meet then. Anyway, if there's any further business? If not, I'd like to adjourn this meeting. It's 9:47. Thank you all.
as a 3-pointer to win the game.
Zags played better last